Hello, and welcome to Refeel Yoga. In today's video, I'd like to talk about the different types of yoga. Now, it's ironic that we say types of yoga because yoga essentially means one. And the highest experience one has through the practice of yoga is the oneness that's inherent in everything. But for simplicity, we can think of yoga or spirituality in general like a mountain. And the different types of yoga or different spiritual systems like different paths up the mountain. The peak is the same, even though the paths are many. Keep in mind that this list is not exhaustive in any way. There's many different spiritual approaches. The one thing that they all have in common is that they should lead you to this experience of a spiritual awakening. The first type of yoga that I would like to introduce is Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga is the one most people picture when they think of yoga. This is the yoga using the physical body, putting it in different positions, doing different breathing techniques, as well as other stages, meditation, and so on. I'm going to do a video on this later, going really deep into what is Hatha Yoga. So let's move on. Another type of yoga is known as Karma Yoga. We've all heard the word karma, but karma means action. So Karma Yoga is a system of finding this enlightenment through your actions, doing every action as a way of dropping the ego, breaking these patterns. Some people do all their actions for God or for the greater good. The idea is to do your action without attachment to what's to come. Nowadays we all do work for the paycheck. But if we wanted to be a karma yogi, we would do work just for the work. Be completely present in each moment that you're working and just do it for that. And then no matter what happens, there's no attachment to it. And in this way, we train ourselves to shed the layers of the ego. This is Karma Yoga. Another very traditional form of yoga is known as Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti means devotion. Bhakti Yoga is essentially all the religions. All the religions are intended to be forms of devotion because through devoting ourselves to some divine being or some saintly person, we can start to embody those qualities and we can start to shed our ego and again reach this state of liberation. The Hare Krishnas, Judaism, Christianity, all of these are supposed to be forms of devotion. Unfortunately, in today's culture, a lot of them have lost that part of devotion and just become mechanical. But Bhakti Yoga is when you really devote to the qualities of some divinity or some saintly person. You try to embody that and reach your liberation this way. Another form of yoga is known as Gyana Yoga. Gyana or Jnana means knowledge. So this is the yoga of the mind, a lot of inquiry. One can read through the ancient texts and try to make sense of what the great sages were saying. Or one big practice of Gyana Yoga is just one question. Asking yourself, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Other big questions. Where did I come from? Where am I going? Not just like, who am I? I'm Andrew. I come from Canada. I'm going to Brazil. I don't know. No, really, who are you? Who's behind all of these layers? It's another one that I'll go deeper into, but I encourage you right now and maybe again later, ask yourself, who am I? And see what comes up. Of course, there's a lot more to Gyana Yoga, but that's just what I offer you right now. Another yoga you hear a lot of is Ashtanga Yoga. Now this one is very confusing because Ashtanga Yoga is a very traditional yoga. In the couple videos ago I mentioned the Yoga Sutra by Patanjali. This is Ashtanga Yoga. It's the 8 limbs of yoga. It involves moral ethics, a way to take care of yourself, taking care of the society. It also involves the steps from Hatha Yoga, different bodily positions, breathing, and high levels of meditation. Not to be confused with Ashtanga Yoga by Pattabhi Jois from the 1960s in Mysore, India. This is a whole other system of yoga, and we try to call it Ashtanga Vinyasa because it's actually a type of Hatha Yoga. Again, I'll go deeper into this when I do my video on Hatha Yoga. Another word lots of people hear is Kundalini. Kundalini Yoga also is quite confusing. Kundalini is an energy within you that wakes up and ultimately gives us this form of spiritual liberation. Now, essentially, all the types of yoga are Kundalini Yoga. Because whether you're praying, whether you're contemplating, or whether you're doing different breathing techniques, it's to awaken this energy and have that expansive experience. So like I said, the paths are merging into each other, but we can think of Kundalini Yoga as the yoga of energy. There's different techniques, different breathing, different moving, different meditations in order to wake up this energy from within. And then we go into some lesser known yogas. Laya Yoga is one. Laya means dissolution. So it's using something to kind of dissolve into. You can meditate with a sound, you can meditate with a color. Think of when you go in the bathtub. You know, you go in a warm bathtub and you sit down and you feel like you relax and your body expands, and then when you get out of the bathtub it's kind of like and you feel more energized. This is a little sort of what Laya Yoga is, dissolving into something. Very similar to mantra yoga or japa yoga, where we use a sound or a mantra. A mantra is a series of words or one sound, like Om. Om, Om, Om. People will repeat this for hours on end in order to just still the mind, to dissolve into this sound. And through doing this, we can cease the fluctuations of the mind and have that very expansive experience. One more branch of yoga that I'd like to mention today is called Swara Yoga. Swara Yoga is the awareness of the flow of energy through the body. The energy is always shifting through the body. Sometimes we're more active, sometimes we're more relaxed, sometimes we're better at giving, receiving. There's so many different qualities, and they're always in this kind of cyclical nature. And when we can understand this, we can use that awareness to tap into this expansive experience as well. Actually, when I introduce Hatha Yoga, I'm going to talk a bit about Swara Yoga, because the two are kind of going together really well and help to explain each other. So that's it for today. Stay tuned for next week's video, where I will introduce this Hatha and Swara Yoga more in depth. Thank you so much.